What's that smell? It smells like a Friday, which means it smells almost like the weekend. TGIF, and a good Friday morning to you, the 11th day of January 2019. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host. Thanks for starting your day with us right here on the NCW Live channel. I hope whatever you do this weekend, you make a point to bring us along because we are portable. We stream all the time. You can watch shows on demand on your smart device. If you have a dumb device, that probably works as well. We try to be ahead of the technological curve as much as we possibly can. We try. We often fail, but we do try. Good show for you today. Lots of things going on, lots of sports to get to. Boy, it's been a really quiet week in sports. We had all those cancellations because of the inclement weather on Tuesday, but sports gets right back, ratcheted up big time this weekend, especially in high school sports. And that reminds me, we got high school basketball tonight from the Wenatchee High School Gymnasium. The West Valley Rams are coming up from beautiful Yakima, the gateway to Wapato, to take on the Wenatchee Panthers. We'll take to the air at about 5:30 with the pregame show. The girls will tip off at 5:45, and the boys to follow. So if you can't make it to the Wenatchee High School gym, you can watch it right here on the NCW Life channel. We got the weather forecast coming up, kind of just our typical January weather. It happens every year, early to midwinter. We get that inversion layer. We get the clouds and the fog, and the sun takes some time off, and you want to catch some vitamin D and get some sunshine. You got to go up. You got to go above the cloud cover, and that's going to be the case for a prolonged period of time. Forecast details are coming up. Also, your past report. Lots of news to get to. An historic night for the city of Wenatchee last night. They christened their brand new chambers at their new city hall right across the street from these very studios. We'll talk about that. Also, the latest news on the Gateway project at the bottom of 9th Street in East Wenatchee. We got some developments there to talk about. Plus, as I mentioned, a lot of sports to get to. We have the obscure holiday. We have birthdays. We have today in history, and we'll do them in the right order again, or try to anyway. We failed to do that yesterday. Everyone is entitled to Magnati's opinion, and we're going to rerun the interview I did with Matthew Pippin from a couple of days ago for two reasons. Number one, it's a fascinating interview. Matthew's a really cool guy. He's the director of the Music Theater of Wenatchee's winter production. They do one, of course, in the spring, affiliated with the Apple Blossom Festival. And in the wintertime, they do a play at the Riverside Playhouse, and they're doing that this week. As a matter of fact, it opened last night. I'm talking about Witness for the Prosecution, the classic Agatha Christie tale, classic whodunit with lots of twists and turns. Matt is the director of that show. Opening night was last night, and we're going to play that interview for you in the second half of the program. So if you're ready and I'm ready, let's put our trays in the upright position, buckle our seatbelts, and let's see what's going on around north central Washington with our Valley View cameras. Good morning, the Wenatchee Heights. That's pulled back a little bit. You can see that little bump in the very front of your screen there. That's the very tip of Wenatchee Heights. And as we mentioned before, we can move these cameras up and down and all around and do the hokey pokey. That's the Wenatchee Valley. Quite a bit of light pollution there. It's something we haven't had before. I think it's the combination of more and more people and more lights, and of course the LED lights, which are not only brighter but energy efficient. And that's a topic we're going to talk about, I think, in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to work on getting some experts in the world of light pollution to come on this program and talk about it. I'm endeavoring to do that anyway. Wenatchee and East Wenatchee, thanks for joining us. From this point forward, it's a guessing game because Megan, who's in control, gets to decide what we're going to look at. She says Omi Gardens looks good to her, and Omi Gardens looks good to me too. The Onabashan Bridge is right smack dab in the middle of your screen. It's kind of funny how much difference the light makes, doesn't it? And it should be pointed out, we're still a long way from sunrise. We're getting longer days. Sunrise is still about the same. It's the sunset that's getting a little bit longer. We're gaining about 20 seconds of daylight per day as the days get longer and longer. However, we're not going to see a lot of daylight, so it's all relative, I suppose. Omi Gardens camera. Number 3, Megan says, I'm guessing Cashmere, and I'm guessing correctly. Ooh, look at that. Low cloud and fog bank. Very overcast and foggy in the Cashmere area, kind of covering it like a nice light blanket. Cashmere, by the way, you're 35 degrees with foggy and cloudy skies. Foggy and cloudy is what we're going to be dealing with for quite some time. Again, details are coming up. That's what we call that, the Apple Annie's camera. And we call it that because it's basically on the bluff, the hillside, right above Apple Annie's on your way out of Cashmere, on your way to beautiful Wenatchee and East Wenatchee. And finally, let's see, wait a minute. Yeah, this would be camera 4. And that is, is that the Arundel Rock camera? I think that is. I think it's just pulled way, way back. That's my assumption. Yeah, because you can see Turtle Rock. You can make it out. So that's the what we call the Arundel Rock camera. It's one of our lowest cameras that we have. So on your left, that car that's driving by is US 97 and Highway 2 on the Douglas County side of the river. That's Arundel Rock, and there's a car going on its way south towards the Wenatchee Valley, which is way off in the distance. And again, look how much lighter that looks, because there's so much more information coming in on the frame that it's letting in as much light as possible. All of these cameras in high definition, courtesy of Localtel Sky-Fi high-speed wireless. So those are our cameras on this Friday morning. And now from the National Weather Service, let's take a look at your forecast, and there's really not a lot to tell you. It kind of looks like, well, it looks like that. Cloudy. A long period of very dry and very stable weather is expected all over the area. High pressure is building over the region, and we get high pressure in the wintertime, and the clouds have already established themselves before the high pressure ridge builds up. That means we get low clouds and fog because there's nothing to get it out of there. Now, we do have the opposite. Sometimes if it's very sunny and very cold and then high pressure builds up, we have a long period of sunlight, but that's not going to be the case. Interesting factoid from yesterday's weather. Thursday's high, 34 degrees right before midnight. At 11:59 to last night, we were at 34 degrees, which doesn't happen very often, except this time of the year. And the low was only 30, so you can see very little temperature variations. But we're also warmer, getting the day going. We're at 34 degrees right now, so we can very easily, even though we're going to have clouds and fog and no sunlight, we can very easily get to that 38 or 39 degree forecast high for today. So just patchy fog, some freezing fog, sometimes early in the morning and sometimes late at night. Outside of that, just lots and lots of clouds. Highs just about 40 degrees right through into the weekend. A little bit cooler on Monday and Tuesday, both for the afternoon high and the overnight low. The one consistent through all of this, just clouds and fog. We were hoping for a few sun breaks over the weekend. That is not going to happen. Next chance of measurable rain, and there's just a slightest even chance of that, is on Wednesday and Thursday. So that's your forecast from the National Weather Service. If you've spent any amount of time here in the Wenatchee Valley, you know this is what our typical January into February weather kind of is. If you want to see the sunlight, you got to go up in elevation. And speaking of going up in elevation, let's head to the mountain passes and see what's going on. And I got good news if you're traveling into the Cascades. Not only right now, but right into the weekend, you're not going to have any problems at all. There are no advisories nor restrictions across the board. Everybody's just fine. That's a live shot of I-90. The roadway is pretty much bare and dry. They're done with the precipitation, so you'll find some dense fog as you cruise up and you go through those fog banks and the clouds. You're going to find some poor visibility. It's also a little gusty at times, but the roadway is fine. No advisories, no restrictions, just some limited visibility at times on I-90. Stevens Pass. Yeah, same deal. No problems at all there. No advisories, no restrictions. Roadways bare and wet. Some frost and ice in places. Overcast skies. Nothing really happening on Stevens Pass. I like that. And Blewett Pass is even easier than Stevens. It's same deal. Roadway is bare and wet. Some frost and ice in places. It is clear at the summit of Blewett Pass. Things are looking fine, and there's absolutely no precipitation at all. Forecast for the mountain passes until they get to Wednesday and maybe Wednesday night, and even then, they're not going to get much of anything. So if you want sunlight, that might be the good place to go. It's going to be partly sunny to mostly sunny skies over the weekend, especially on Stevens Pass at 4,000 feet. So there's your sunlight. If you need to crave that sunlight, you got to go up into the mountains or maybe go skiing, go to Mission Ridge. That'll do it. We'll be socked in with the clouds and the fog, but the passes are going to be just fine, and there's no problems at all in the Cascades, with no precipitation at all, no snow, no rain until at least Wednesday. So you are good to go. It is 9 minutes after the hour. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, your Friday morning news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 42 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life Channel.
Everything we do is about delivering very high quality care and keeping our patients safe.
We really work as a team here, and so that's really what makes it worthwhile.
I give 100% every day, and I do that because I work for a company that I believe gives 100% back to me.
The bottom line is we genuinely care about our employees.
It is the most incredible place to work, and you will be inspired every day.
Hey everyone, did you know that the NCW Life channel is North Central Washington's go-to source for news? No matter how you prefer to view your news, NCW Life has you covered. Watch the evening news weeknights on TV, stream it, read it at ncwlife.com, or catch the latest news by following us on Facebook. Stay informed with local news, sports, weather, and shows featuring local people and events. NCW Life, a reflection and a spotlight of the communities we call home.
And we are back here in Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. It is 34 degrees with cloudy and foggy skies, clouds and fog, and inverted, kind of bucky, kind of just gray January weather forecast all the way through Wednesday of next week. And here's what's making headlines on this Friday morning. A historic evening last night at the new Wenatchee City Council chambers. As they stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, as you can see, they got a brand new room to work in. Council meeting for the first time at their newly constructed chambers. It's on the second floor, by the way, of the new Yakima City Hall. Crews were working just feverishly over the last week or so to put everything together. In fact, we have a time lapse. There you go. This is from yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon to put everything together, including a brand new state-of-the-art video system that's going to put you right in the front row of the regularly scheduled meetings. You can watch them on YouTube. And by the way, those chambers will be the temporary home of the Wenatchee City Council for the next couple of years. They're going to build a larger and more permanent room for the City Council to meet in a couple of years. Well, Mayor Steve Lacey is very happy with the outcome of the final bidding process for East Wenatchee's Gateway project. Wenatchee-based KRCI was awarded the contract after submitting the low bid on the project.
We had a low bid that was about $17,000 under the council's appropriation. That was close enough for the council to feel that they could appropriate that additional money, so they did on Tuesday night, and then accepted the low bid on that project. So we're moving toward construction on the Gateway project now, probably in a late winter, early spring, depending on how long it takes the contractor to gear up with materials and that kind of thing. Certainly now that project will come to fruition here in 2019, which makes the mayor very happy.
Mayor Lacey provided an update on the project at Thursday's Chelan Douglas Transportation Council meeting. The Gateway project is, of course, being developed as a multi-use vendor and multi-use venue and visitor information center located at the bottom of 9th Street at the intersection of Valley Mall Parkway. Bidding was delayed due to higher than expected costs. Speaking of mayors, Leavenworth Mayor Sherry Farivar described the traffic during the Christmas Lighting Festival as manageable. The mayor was also at Thursday's Chelan Douglas County Transportation Council meeting, where she discussed the festival and its impacts on the popular Bavarian-themed town with our very own senior news correspondent, Steve Hare.
This year, we hired a flagging company and actually three times the number of sheriff's deputies to control the intersections and hopefully control the flow of traffic. I should also say that the snow train is no longer coming to Leavenworth. We're not supporting it anymore, and so they've decided not to come. So we had more buses and that kind of thing, but the expenditure of the city of about $90,000 for the flagging, for all 3 weekends of flagging and extra sheriff deputies, paid off. It's much safer. One of the reasons we did this is that public safety made it clear to us that when the roads are locked up, ambulances, fire trucks can't get to people. And so we did a whole very inclusive plan with the DOT, the State Patrol, the Chelan County Sheriff's deputies, our ambulance system, and the city of Leavenworth. And it went much better. I mean, it was still slow. There was slow traffic.
Well, I think that there is this notion, or at least a perception by some in your community that it's become out of control, that the traffic situation is unmanageable, but you would say that's not the case.
Well, I'd say we managed it. It wasn't perfect, and nobody's going to be able to get where they want to go in 5 minutes in Leavenworth on a Christmas lighting weekend. However, they were able to get there this year, and we heard anecdotally about last year that people were in one place for more than 2 hours. That didn't occur this year. And so we think we're onto something. We're going to continue this, and we're going to tweak it and improve it every year. And so I think for our locals especially, it's easier to get around during Christmas lighting.
Well, obviously, the town has become quite an attraction in terms of tourism, and 2019 promises to be kind of an interesting year. You have another project, I guess, that's being proposed for an adventure park.
Right.
So traffic is going to be a big issue for you this year.
Traffic is going to be a big issue for Leavenworth forever. And part of the reason for that, I think people need to recognize, is that we are on Highway 2, which is a major east-west highway thoroughfare. And a lot of the traffic that comes through Leavenworth doesn't stop in Leavenworth.
It's pass-through.
It's a pass-through, yeah. They're getting from the west side of the mountains to the east side of the mountains, and that's the only way for them to go. So what we have to recognize is that although we need to make traffic a huge priority, we are now together with the DOT doing a corridor study that will identify how much of that traffic is actually passed through and how to better regulate the Highway 2 traffic in a way that we have not been able to before.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah.
So what's the timeline for that?
That will be done this year, by the end of this year. In fact, it's ongoing right now. They're compiling the data, and then they'll start the analysis on those cameras that are on intersections. Count cars. There's a way for the DOT to count every vehicle that comes on that is traveling on a highway and where they're going, where they end up. And so fortunately for us, we'll be able to have some real data by the end of this year on which to base future decisions.
One thing you can't complain about is the sales tax generated by tourism up there.
You won't hear me complaining about that. It is what runs Leavenworth. That is our major operational funding. No question about it.
Well, good luck 2019 and Happy New Year to you,
Thank you,
Mayor
Steve.
Farivar.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Steve, for that report. Over the next month, the Wenatchee School Board will be narrowing down its list of candidates to select their brand new superintendent. The person hired will replace Brian Flonis, who is retiring. Diana Haglin is the district's communications director. She was my guest on this very show yesterday. Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. She talked to me, and we talked about how that process actually works.
Where we're at right now is we have final interviews scheduled for February 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. So we're planning on having 4 finalists. It could be 3, but that's kind of the plan for right now. The first round of interviews will actually be in early February. So the board will meet with those candidates and then narrow that field down to about, like I said, 3 to 4. So that'll happen towards the end of February when we do those final interviews. But the community is invited to participate in that final interview process. And we're currently recruiting community members, parents, and students to apply for what we're calling our stakeholder interview committee. It'll be made up of about 20 people, including school staff. It is an application process, and the application is available on our website, wenatcheeschools.org. And people can apply to serve on that committee, and we'll be doing a drawing for those positions at our board meeting on January 22nd.
Seems the fair way to do it.
Yeah, and the great thing is that this committee, so representative of all of our stakeholder groups, will have a chance to meet with the finalists and ask some questions of them and really just get a feel for who they are and how they'd fit in as our next superintendent. And then they'll be able to provide some feedback to the board. Ultimately, it's the board's decision who they want to select as our next superintendent, but the more feedback and the more voices we can have in that process, the more informed of a decision they can make.
And that wraps up our news on this Friday morning. We have news tonight, though. The news with Grant Olson will come your way at 5 o'clock and 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and then between the basketball games. As I mentioned before, we have live high school basketball tonight right here on this very television station, or as we like to say in the business, TV. We got the West Valley Rams taking on the Wenatchee Panthers at the Wenatchee High School Gymnasium. We'll take to the air at about 5:30 with the pregame for the girls' game. The girls will tip off at 5:45. The boys will tip off about 20 minutes after the conclusion of the girls' game. And between those two games, you will get the news with Grant Olson, who's doing double duty. Not only is he doing the news, but he's also handling play-by-play duties tonight at the Wenatchee High School Gymnasium. Take a glance at the bottom of your screen. That's one of the many ways you can get a hold of us, and we make it as easy as possible for you to do so. You can private message us on our Facebook page. You can drop us a line via our website at ncwlife.com, ncwlife.com. Click on the Contact Us icon in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, and you got her there. I prefer email, so send us an email, news@ncwlife.com, news@ncwlife.com, or pick up the telephone and give us a call. 20 minutes after the hour, I'm going to take a break. When we come back, sports, the obscure holiday. Today in history, birthdays. Everybody is entitled to Mike McNaughty's opinion. By the way, Mike is getting old, or Mike is old. That's the topic. And then my conversation with Matthew Pippin, the director of the Music Theater Wenatchee's production of Witness for the Prosecution. All coming up between now and 8 o'clock. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
Hi, I'm Kevin Prosser, and this is my print shop, Color Effects in Kashmir. Color Effects offers screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing on t-shirts, jerseys, bags, banners, signs, and more. With 30 years experience, you won't be disappointed with the quality and quick turnaround times you will get at more than a fair price. Please call Color FX.
We are back at 22 minutes after the hour. I am Dan Kuntz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's talk sports, and we'll start this morning with congratulating the Wenatchee Panther girls bowling team, who clinched at least a tie for the Big Nine Championship yesterday with that 3-1 win over Sunnyside. Now that victory, combined with Davis's 3-1 upset victory over Eisenhower, that means the worst the Panthers can finish is for a tie for first place. Also last night in wrestling, as you see, the Davis Pirates edged the Small Wildcats 41-36. It's been a quiet week for the most part in prep sports, but that changes tonight. We have a full slate of games. Let's take a look at what's on the way. Here's your schedule. In girls basketball, the Eastmont Wildcats will travel to Sunnyside to take on the Grizzlies, while the Wenatchee Panthers host the West Valley Rams. Of course, we'll have that game live on the NCW Life channel. Pregame at 5:30. We'll tip off at 5:45. Also in girls basketball tonight in Caribou Trail League action is Kashmir at Okanagan. They'll get going at 5:45. Cascade is at Omak at 6 o'clock. Manson is at Soap Lake, and finally Waterville Mansfield. A very good Waterville Mansfield girls team is at Liberty Bell at 6 o'clock tonight. Boys basketball tonight in the Big Nine. The Eastmont Wildcats are at Sunnyside, while the Wenatchee Panthers again hosting the West Valley Rams. Panthers and the Rams tied for first in the Big Nine. And just like the girls game, we'll have that contest right here on the NCW Life channel about 20 minutes after the conclusion of the girls game. Elsewhere in high school basketball, this is tonight's schedule. In boys, Kashmir is at Okanagan, Cascade is at Omak, Manson is at Soap Lake, and Waterville Mansfield is at Liberty Bell in Central Washington B action. That's tonight. This is tomorrow. Girls basketball for Saturday. Wenatchee will be at Moses Lake. That's going to be a tough one for the Panther girls. 5:45 there. Kashmir is at Chelan, and Soap Lake is at Waterville Mansfield. And girls basketball Saturday. Boys basketball on Saturday. Again, Wenatchee is at Moses Lake about 20 minutes after the girls get going. About 20 minutes after the girls are done, I should say. Kashmir is at Chelan, and boys basketball tomorrow, and Soap Lake is at Waterville Mansfield. Let's talk wrestling. Wenatchee and 15 other teams will be in Marysville Pilchuck for their big invitational, and Eastmont and 14 other teams will be participating in the Ellensburg Bulldog Invitational pretty much all day on Saturday. Boys swimming on Saturday. This is a huge event. Wenatchee, Eastmont, and 41 other teams will be at the Kentridge Invitational at the King County Aquatics Center. It's the biggest swimming meet of the year. It happens all day Saturday. And speaking of Saturday, and tonight, the Wenatchee Wild. They got home games tonight. Alberni Valley will be in town tonight. They'll drop the puck at 7:05. Tomorrow, the Victoria Grizzlies come to town. Wenatchee Wild hockey tonight and tomorrow night at the Town Toyota Center. We, of course, have sports on the NCW Life channel this weekend. Here is your schedule. We'll have the West Valley Wenatchee girls and boys doubleheader again tonight, 5:30 pregame. The girls tip off at 5:45. Between the boys and the girls game, between the girls and the boys game, we'll have the news, and the boys game will tip off right around 7:30 or so. That is tonight. This weekend, tomorrow, we'll be replaying the Ferris at Wenatchee girls basketball game at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and tomorrow night at 7. We got the Moses Lake and Eastmont wrestling match. That's Saturday's schedule. On Sunday, tune in at 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon for the Davis at Wenatchee girls and boys basketball doubleheader. And then at 7 o'clock on Sunday evening, it's the Moses Lake and Eastmont girls and boys basketball doubleheader. And finally, check this out. This is the new logo for the new team, the Wenatchee Valley Skyhawks. Skyhawks will be playing indoor football come March at the Town Toyota Center as members of the American West Football Conference. The other franchises are located in the Tri-Cities, Boise, Sacramento, and Reno. The Skyhawks will play at least six games at the Town Toyota Center. The Skyhawks are owned by Theo Hall, and Keith Evans will serve as head coach and general manager. Of course, the previous indoor football team, the Wenatchee Valley Venom, folded after 2 seasons in 2011. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Friday morning. Let's do the obscure holiday of the day today. And today, you recognize that? That's Morse code. And January 11th is celebrated annually as Learn Your Name in Morse Code Day. It's not that hard to do because Morse code was first demonstrated on January 11th, 1838 by Alfred Vail and Samuel Morse. I wonder if they flipped a coin, decided, are we going to call it the Vail code or the Morse code? I really don't know why. They had to make a decision, I guess. Of course, it became the primary form of long-distance communication worldwide for a very, very long time. So how do you celebrate? First of all, learn Morse code. It's not that hard to learn. It's pretty easy, and then you can learn how to spell your name out in Morse code. Celebrate it today. Learn to do your name in Morse code. I can do it. Again, not that hard. 27 minutes after the hour. Today in history, 84 years ago today, Amelia Earhart landed in Oakland. Where her luggage ended up, I don't know. Amelia Earhart became the very first person, not just the female, but the very first person ever to fly solo from Hawaii to California. She took off from Honolulu, landed in the fog in Oakland. Why Oakland, we don't know. I guess she had to land somewhere. So anyway, Amelia Earhart made aviation history on this date 84 years ago today. And yeah, there was a pretty good crowd in Oakland to welcome her. January 11th, 1970, 49 years ago today, the final AFL-NFL World Championship game was held. It was Super Bowl IV. It was technically called the AFL-NFL World Championship game because right after this game was over, the two leagues merged to just the NFL in New Orleans, Louisiana, at the now gone Tulane Stadium. The Kansas City Chiefs on a rainy Sunday afternoon defeated the Minnesota Vikings 23-7. It remains the only Super Bowl title in Chiefs history. Super Bowl IV was televised by CBS, and CBS erased the videotape a couple of days after the game. They did the same thing for Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II. They did it because, well, number one, videotapes, professional videotapes back then were very expensive, and they just would erase them and reuse them. And number two, the networks didn't think that archiving old football games were worth it. Boy, I bet you they wish they hadn't have done that now. This was 49 years ago today, Super Bowl IV. And finally, January 11th, 1973, 46 years ago today, I've never been happy with the designated hitter. I'm a baseball purist. I believe that the 9 guys who are on the field are the 9 guys who should bat when their turn comes. But 46 years ago today, Major League Baseball owners voted to approve in the American League the designated hitter. And now, of course, the designated hitter is across all baseball platforms, all the way from Little League to Babe Ruth League to American Legion to semi-pro to professional to everything in between. Every league all over the world uses the designated hitter with the exception of the National League, who has never adopted the designated hitter, but they're going to have to eventually. They're going to have to. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of the DH, but it came to being on this date back in 1973. And finally, just one birthday to pass along to you today. It's an historic birthday. Alexander Hamilton. This guy's everywhere. Ever since that musical came out a number of years ago, won all those Tony Awards, and it's an incredibly good musical about Alexander Hamilton. He's been back in the news, and for good reason. Alexander Hamilton was born on this date in 1755, of course, hugely important in the American Revolution, and he was a Federalist. He believed in a strong central federal government. He was the first United States Secretary of the Treasury. He's the guy who's on your $10 bill. And if he hadn't gotten Aaron Burr all mad, he might have lived a long and fruitful life, but he got Aaron Burr all mad, and Aaron Burr shot him to death at the age of 49 back in 1804. But Alexander Hamilton, one of the significant figures in American history, was born on this date a long time ago, 1755. 30 minutes after the hour, we're going to take a break. When we come back, everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. Mike's getting up there in years. He discovered that. And then we're going to replay my conversation with Matthew Pippin. All coming up between now and 8 o'clock. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
What's your Automocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate Frappuccino.
Definitely the espresso shakes. My favorite is the mocha Frappitas.
A peach Red Bull. Walkabout Grill, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner in downtown Wenatchee and now downtown Leavenworth, where eating out is eating healthy.
Put winter weather in its place with a new Cub Cadet snow thrower from Rose Tractor. Hi, this is Corey. Let us help you get through the season with our line of Cub Cadet snow throwers. When it comes to snow, never let winter weather get in your way. The Cub Cadet X Series line of snow throwers offers 3 levels of snow clearing power and a host of award-winning models. Get ahead of the snow. Let us help you get into the right snow thrower for the job. Rose Tractor, family owned and operated, located at the corner of 3rd and Rock Island Road in East Wenatchee.
Antique Mall at Cashmere wishes you a happy and prosperous new year. With 15,000 square feet to explore, Antique Mall at Cashmere has something for everyone. For repurposing projects, do-it-yourselfers, and those with a keen eye for making something old fresh and new again, this is the place to find your next project. Antique Mall at Cashmere, their friendly staff is here to help you. Stop on by today.
Welcome to another edition of Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table.
Outdoorsmen have been providing fresh food for American family tables for generations. Hunting and fishing is a way of life for our family, and we enjoy cooking delicious fish and game meals.
Oh, that's awesome.
We want to share our recipes with you. This is Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table.
Watch for new episodes of Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table, starting Saturday, June 30th on the NCW Life channel.
Since 1932, Camp Seneca, nestled on the beautiful shores of Lake Wenatchee, has provided children grades 1 through 12 with the ideal location for kids to learn new skills, have fun, and make friends while creating memories that will last a lifetime. Camp Seneca's rustic log cabins and their staff serve to provide each group a unique summer camp experience. Register for Camp Seneca today, www.campfirencw.org.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I don't care how many movies, remakes, or sequels are done. There are some things that just are inviolate as far as I'm concerned. Now, Sean Connery is James Bond, okay? Not some other two-bit poser actor. I don't care who they stick in that job. Sean Connery is James Bond. And something else, Harrison Ford is Jack Ryan, not that Baldwin guy or some other make-believe character. And here's the one that really kills me. Basil Rathbone is Sherlock Holmes. Now, I know Rathbone is dead, but isn't it better to preserve the integrity of the character than trying to put some other two-bit actor, some other person in a role that belongs to Basil Rathbone alone? Now, this, to me, is the worst part of the capitalist system. Trying to milk additional money out of fictional characters when the original actors who created the roles in the first place are no longer available. Just give it up. I mean, sheesh. Let's have some respect. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
If you're stuck trying to find the perfect beer for you, look no further than Badger Mountain Brewing. We specialize in creating tantalizing craft beers that will soothe any picky taste buds and will satisfy your cravings. Check out everything from our amazing honey blonde that will appease even the most finicky taster, or a delicious frothy stout for dark beer lovers. Experience them all at Badger Mountain Brewing.
I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is Guada TV. Every week we will be bringing you a first look at North Central Washington business, tech, and education news. You'll hear from local influencers and innovators who live right here in the Valley. Together, we'll discuss hot topics, current events, and resources that can support your business, our schools, and this community. Join me every week, and let's get inspired.
Only one country could build a truck like this. Designed in California, engineered in Michigan, tested in Arizona, and assembled in Mississippi. Powered by Cummins of Indiana. The all-new Nissan Titan. It's an American classic. Is it on your list? Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. Tevye lives in the small village of Anatevka in Tsarist Russia, and he's trying to marry off his 5 daughters. That is not the plot of Witness for the Prosecution. I do have the plot. I also have the director of Witness for the Prosecution. It is Music Theater Wenatchee's winter production. It's going to take place at the Riverside Playhouse. Matthew Pippin.
Hello.
On the program. Good to see you, my friend.
Spooked me there for a second. I thought Fiddler on the Roof was the thing.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, no,
I need to get 5 daughters and somebody to play Tevye, and I need them by Thursday. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
It's good to see you again. I know it's been a while since you've been on the program. Tell folks a little bit about yourself, Matthew. You're pretty well known in the theater circles, but for those people who don't know.
Well, I do theater here in the Valley. I'm a dancing monkey. I'll do anything to get attention, really. I'll do the Hot August Nights with Mr. Jamie Donegan. And see, I remembered his last name. Last time he did a show with you, he forgot my last name.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah. 6 shows with him, and he forgot my last name. That's how important and famous I am. But at the Riverside Playhouse, at Leavenworth Summer Theater, at the Snowy Owl, if I can perform, I will do it.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
What is it? Let's start with that. What is it? I've had Kathy Smithson on. I've had the Atwoods on. I've had Cynthia Brown on. I've had Matt Cadman on. I've had you on. I've had Jamie Donegan on. What is it about this valley that seems to be just thriving in the world of theater and plays and musicals and stuff like that?
Just lucky, I guess.
What's going on?
I don't know if it's something in the water, which is, one
There you go. Help yourself. It just seems to me that there's just a lot of people who like to go on stage, short Shakespeareans. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and you see it with the stage kids that we have in the Valley now, and people that are. I mean, Arlene Jones, it's our props mistress, turned 90 last year, and she's doing our props for it. And it's just something about the Valley that people from all ages just want to work and create arts, and it's a pleasure to be a part of and say that I'm a part of this history in the Valley.
And we have some fantastic facilities as well. The Numerica Performing Arts Center, Riverside Playhouse, Snowy Owl Theater. The Wenatchee High School Auditorium is one of the nicer high school auditoriums I'll ever see.
Yeah, Eastmont's LGI got refurbished a couple of years ago. Les Mis is going to be playing here in the next couple of weeks, and yeah, we're just damn lucky is what I think it is.
It might be, but it seems to be self-sustaining.
Yeah,
that's really the cool part.
Absolutely,
you're always getting some new faces, people trying out. Follies is coming up.
Follies
that's always
is coming
fun.
Up, and those are people that is their theater experience. They go for it's Mr. Donegan comes and every 3 years, and that's their theater experience. They come and play for those 3 weeks, and then do the show 3 or 4 times, and they're done. And that's all they'll have to do with the theater. But that's what they have to do.
Yeah, and it's fun. I like sitting in the audience and going, "That's my dentist," and he's running around up there in drag. I rather enjoy that. The play is Witness for the Prosecution. It's a classic Agatha Christie story. A little plot synopsis for those people unfamiliar with the play.
I seem to have trouble with the word synopsis, but isn't that wonderful? Our
That's
producer
nice.
Zach Savage made that, and he really did that with fake blood on a newspaper. It took him forever to make it look like a body, but we have this Mr. Leonard Vole is accused of the murder of a lady friend of his, Miss Emily French, and goes to plead his case to Sir Wilfrid. And then you meet Leonard Vole's wife, Romaine, who seems to have another ulterior motive, and it moves from there to the courtroom, and then you don't know who's committing perjury, who's telling the truth. And what's really fabulous about this particular Agatha Christie mystery is there's 3 twists to it, not just one, and not just the whodunit, but 3 that gets you to the end of it. And I'm very proud of how hard everybody's working. I did Our Town a couple of years ago, and I was really inspired by the minimal set that we used. And so this stage only has rehearsal cubes and a couple of chairs on it. There's no elaborate set. If you saw the original specs, I don't know how they did it unless it was a revolving set. But I just wanted the actors vibrant, the costumes vibrant, and let the audience use their imagination in that beautiful little black box area.
It's a period piece. So what's the time when
1950s.
1950s. So is everybody going to be talking in a British accent? Or?
Yes, most of them.
Okay, you can pull it off.
Yeah, because I'm of the school of if you can't do it, don't do it. And one was a little shaky, but fortunately it works that her character could be American. Okay. And so I thought, why not just be American?
Rehearsal's going well.
Yeah,
good.
It's been difficult because we started November 12th, which sounds like we've had a lot of time from November 12th to January 10th, but that was only 30 days of rehearsal in there. With the holidays, we had to leave the stage for Newsies auditions. We had the Hound of Baskerville, the Full Circle Theater Company that's new to the Valley in the last couple of years. They had a performance of the Hound of Baskerville. So we've missed a lot of rehearsal time. So the fact that they did it in this short amount of time, I'm very proud of them.
It's a great cast. There's some well-known names in the world of theater here, and also some people who you may not have heard of that are on stage. Specifically, a lot of John Schultz and a lot of David Harville. They'll be on stage a lot. They're basically the 2 main characters.
The 2 main characters, but like Megan Kapler that does she plays Mayhew, which is traditionally played by a man. I also enjoyed switching the sexes and balancing them in my shows. And she's on stage the entire time in the second act and the third act really, but she doesn't say anything in the second act. You just get to watch her act and listen and react, and sometimes I just find myself watching her because she's so good at just listening.
And that's the key.
Yeah, it really is. You should be able to
Absolutely.
look at anybody on a stage and know exactly what's going on their face, And she does it. She's magic. Yeah.
Why Witness for the Prosecution? They do a wintertime show. Music Theater does every year, this time of the year. How did that decision to do this particular play come about?
Do you know Vicki Michael? Lovely, fabulous, darling
Sounds
Vicki
familiar.
Michael. Her husband Tom was had Tom Michael Dentistry.
Okay,
Tom Michael
yes,
Dentistry.
there we go. All right.
And she I've known for several years now, and she does a lot of costuming and theater with me as well. She's performed in a lot of Hot August night shows. At the end of the full Monty that we did in August, she said, we don't have anything for the January slot. Oh, well then hold my beer and watch this, and let's see what we can do. And in a couple of weeks I had a production team, and then we auditioned after the Little Shop of Horrors closed. And it was kind of a rush job, but we had talked about this before, me and a couple of other people thought, what if I was to direct another show, because that's not my favorite. I'd much rather act in something, because I'm a ham. And but then this was, I couldn't get it out of my head, and I thought, okay, well this is the time, this is the space, and these are the people, and yeah.
The rehearsal process is, you don't, for this particular production of Witness for the Prosecution, you don't need to know how to dance, you don't have to sing. All you have to do is memorize your lines, and there's a lot of lines. It's a very verbal play.
Very verbal play.
And understand your marks. So that it's kind of, from a director's standpoint, that made it a whole different audition process, didn't it?
It is, but I'm also a very character-driven director. I let people to their own devices. I like to do, here's a foundation, let's see what you can do with it. And then I call it my bump and bite, like a shark. I'll bump and bite you in the right direction. And to get something, like Julie Kuntz, this is the best thing I've ever seen her do. And she's fabulous. And I want people to not almost like take a moment to go, is that her? Especially in a couple of her moments when she makes her entrance. And she's fabulous. She's just doing wonderful. She had played my wife in Bye Bye Birdie at Eastmont High School Student Staff Alumni Musical a couple of years ago. And I
remember.
Yeah, so we still call each other Doris and Harry. And so to have her in this it's just a delight. And she doesn't age. Have you noticed that?
No, she looks
gets younger.
fantastic. Well, what do you do?
She's draining the life. That's why I look like this. She's draining the life out of me.
I love her. Are you pretty stick to the script kind of guy? Because there's not a lot of ad-libbing in this play.
No. I mean, if something messes up, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing you can do but ad-lib. In fact, there was one that was a perfect ad-lib, and it was a cover for something that a character had screwed up, and one of the other barristers was like, "Don't you mean on October?" And if they had really been paying attention, the other barrister easily just could have, "I object," and then who knows where the story would have gone from there. But yeah, it's something you got to do. But there's not a lot of room for ad-libbing and playing and stretching.
I've done a couple of plays, and we had a physical cue, which meant I forgot my line. It was I like scratch your earlobe, which means you need to help me because I just drew a blank kind of stuff. Do you still do those little tricks now and again? Because that's what we used to do.
No, we haven't done. I haven't seen anything like that. There's been. You just sometimes, because we're now in the stage of we only got a couple rehearsals left before we open, that if they get lost, they can't call for line anymore, and I'll just yell, "Figure it out!"
Once the play is going, again, we're talking about Witness for the Prosecution at the Riverside Playhouse. It's going to air this weekend, next weekend. We'll get to the gist of that in just a little bit. Once the play is, once you're in your run, you don't really do a lot of directing, right? I mean, during the play, are you sitting in the back row and just watching, or are you going to make some minor adjustments from one show to the other? I want to maybe move this character around or change this. What?
Yeah, I'm very much of the school of a show isn't set in stone until it closes. Then that's just how it's going to be. And I myself don't want to go in and change a whole bunch of things, but sometimes something just doesn't work. And if an actor comes to me, and I'm always willing for suggestions too, because there's more than one way to skin a cat, And somebody sees something, and even last year with 12 Angry Men, I had a character, or one of the actresses tell me that some line just wasn't working, so let's watch it tonight. And we changed it for the very last show. But she felt it worked better that way, and great. But no, once the show is open, I turn into like this grandmother that just stands in the back, and, "Oh, guys, you could do it."
I always like to give the folks who work backstage and behind the scenes all the credit in the world, because they're the unsung heroes of any kind of production. And you got set decorators, and you got people who you don't see, but without them, you don't have a show. You want to throw out some kudos there?
Yeah, absolutely. Frankie Polnitz and Eric Day and Caleb Sims. That's actually Christina's Cabrel's boyfriend, and this is her first show since she was in elementary school.
Wow.
I met her. She does artwork down at the radar station. And I had posed for her, and then I said, "Do you ever do any other kind of art expression and things?" Because I can't do that, like drawing and all that. I'm flabbergasted and fascinated by people who can. And so we got her to come out. So this is her first show since elementary school, and she's fabulous at it. She plays a wonderful character.
The opening night, 5 minutes before curtain, what do you tell your cast before you walk away and say go do a show? What do you tell them? What's your last? You give them a pep talk?
Well, the government shut down, so the FCC isn't paying attention. So I can say whatever
you can say whatever you want.
No, I kind of the team building. I'm not too into the hold the hands and come on, but come on, you guys, you can do it, and I know you can. And I kind of become a cheerleader at that point, minus the pom poms, and if they pay me right. That's it. And I try to be there for every performance, at least to start it off. And I do like to introduce the show to the audience, telling them to stay off their phones. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
If I could, I would have them dim the lights and pull out my cell phone and say, "Now, can you guys see this? so can we. Oh, you know, I'd love to, you know, but I couldn't do that.
That just drives.
They would think it's mean.
Cell phones in theaters just drive me nuts. Turn them off.
Turn them off, and because there's frankly no good news or bad news that can't wait till intermission or after the show.
You're there to be entertained and to get away from that piece of electronic equipment. You mentioned something important, so people can plan their trip to the Riverside Playhouse with dinner and whatever the case would be. How long is the play, intermission, that kind of stuff?
Intermission's about 15 minutes. The show itself is going to run anywhere from an hour and 45 to 2 hours. And so with 15 minutes, so you're expecting about 2.5 hours at the theater. But it sure goes. The third act just flies by, because then you start. All the pieces are coming together. You're like, wait, go back. I want to know what happened exactly.
You can't hit rewind.
No.
I'm afraid. In fact, you might even want to go twice.
Yeah.
You might even want. I'm not kidding you. You might want to go twice.
There's room.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Because it's one of those things where you missed it and you can go back again and then okay, now I got it. Tickets are available at the Numerica Performing Arts Center box office, even though the play itself is at the Riverside Playhouse. Run times, dates, give me that meat and potato stuff.
We open the 10th of January, and we play the 10th, 11th, 12th, and then the following weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then a matinee on Sunday. Because if I can avoid it, we don't do 2 show days. And so there's a matinee on Sunday the 20th, and then the following weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, closed the 26th.
Witness for the prosecution, the Agatha Christie Classic, coming to the Riverside Playhouse. It's a production of Music Theater of Wenatchee. It's her winter production, and they all turn around and get ready to do Newsies right after that. Are you going to be involved in Follies? Now, it's only every 3 years. And
I auditioned for it. I don't know if I got anything.
I'm sure.
But I'd like to. There's one song in particular that if I could do it, I would just lay in bed at night going, because it would be with a full orchestra, you know, and that's fabulous too. Right? Everybody should get a chance to sing with a live full orchestra, you know, that's the real karaoke right there. And if I get that song, then awesome. If not, I tried.
Okay, I got Jamie's cell phone number.
Yeah, he doesn't know my last name, so you're going to have to really work and tell him who I am.
Matthew, break a leg, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for doing the show. I appreciate it. Get your tickets today. It's not going to be in town very long.
No, and they're going fast now.
They're going fast. Remember, Riverside Playhouse is a very intimate theater, so it doesn't take a lot to sell out this theater, especially for this kind of show. Matthew, be good.
I will do my best.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I don't know what's going to happen. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel. There's no substitute for the power of cable TV advertising. With Solion Cable TV Advertising, you can reach your target audience right here in North Central Washington. We understand their viewing habits and can precisely target your customers on great cable networks like these. Call Solion Broadcasting today and let us show you how to put your business message right in front of thousands of prospects at a very affordable price. Solion Broadcasting, 509-888-2020.
Hi, Justin here, owner of Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere. Club Crow is your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue. We are your one-stop bar and grill, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Looking for a fun night out? Join us at Club Crow Saturday nights. We have live bands to rock the night away. Club Crow is bringing comedy to Cashmere. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming dates. Live jam session first Sunday of every month. Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellington here from Live It Up. In the investment world, ROI stands for Return on Investment. Well, how does better health, better wealth, and better relationships sound for ROI? Join us every week right here on NCW Life and learn how to invest in the most important asset, you.
We're going to answer your questions and provide some weekly inspiration so you can create a life that you love. Join us on Live It Up.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz, your host. Let's get you into the rest of your Friday and into the weekend by giving you the weather forecast from the National Weather Service. And there's just really not a lot to talk about there. Very quiet. We're in for a rather long period, a prolonged period, of very dry and stable weather for pretty much everybody. High pressure is building over the region, and when you have high pressure building over the region and the clouds and the fog have already paid us a visit, they don't go anywhere. So we're just in for patchy fog. The occasional freezing fog is possible off and on throughout the course of this long period of just cloudy and gray and dry weather. That's probably the biggest news there, is that there's no precipitation at all in the forecast until Wednesday and Thursday of next week, and even then, it ain't much. So just cloudy and foggy. High today of about 39. Cloudy and foggy tonight. Again, occasionally some freezing fog might develop. 30 for the overnight low. Cloudy and foggy Saturday, right around 40, 41. 28 for the overnight low on Saturday night. On Monday and Tuesday, just a little bit cooler, but not that much. It's actually about normal. 34, 35 is just about our normal afternoon high for the middle of January. Absolutely no sunshine at all in the forecast. This is just the way it's going to be. This chance of rain and snow will gradually increase in the late part of the week, but even then, it's probably really not going to happen. We'll have a more accurate idea if we're going to get any rain or snow on Wednesday and Thursday when we visit you again on Monday. So that's your forecast from the National Weather Service. Not a lot to talk about there. The passes, not a lot to talk about there either. Things are looking good. Your only problem if you're heading into the Cascades is really visibility. The roadways are fine. That's a live shot of Snoqualmie Pass right now. No advisories, no restrictions. The roadway's pretty much bare and wet with some overcast skies and some patchy fog. So you'll be cruising right along, and then you'll hit a fog bank. So you'll want to have your headlights on, I'm assuming, for your entire trip over I-90. As far as the roadway's fine. Roadway, it's fine. No problems at all. Same deal with Stevens. Let's do a live shot of Stevens Pass. No advisories, no restrictions. Roadway's bare and wet. Some frost and ice in places. Nothing coming down out of the sky. You can see the folks are starting to fill up the parking lot to go skiing on Stevens Pass. And to get there, you're not going to have any problems at all. And Blewett couldn't be much easier either. Let's do a live shot of Blewett. There's a nice truck pulled over, taking a little rest stop at the very summit of Blewett Pass. No advisories, no restrictions. Again, the roadway is bare and wet. And you're not dealing with a lot of fog on Blewett. You will on Snoqualmie and a little bit on Stevens, but Blewett, for the most part, you got clear skies there. So again, no problems at all. No advisories, no restrictions on any of the major mountain passes. There's some fog you're going to have to deal with on I-90. And by the way, if you're heading south towards Yakima on the Menashtash Ridges, I-82, very thick fog and very poor visibility on both the upper and lower Menashtash Ridge. Thought I'd throw that out there. And the forecast for the mountain passes is pretty much like us. There's absolutely no precipitation at all for the mountain passes, all of them, all the way through Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And even if they do get the occasional snowflake Wednesday and Thursday of next week, it's not looking like they're going to get much at all. So same deal. In fact, if anything, they're going to have some sunshine up in the Cascades. They're going to get above this inversion layer. It's going to sock in the Wenatchee Valley. Programming reminder, we got high school basketball tonight. The West Valley Rams in town to take on the Wenatchee Panthers, a girls-boys doubleheader at the Wenatchee High School Gymnasium. If you can't make it to the gym, you can watch it right here on TV. Grant Olson with the play-by-play. We'll take to the air at 5:30 with the pregame show. The girls will tip off at 5:45. And then as soon as the girls' game is over, we'll air our nightly news between the girls and the boys, and we'll pick up action again with the boys' game at about 7:30 tonight. We got a great lineup of guests next week. On Monday, I got a couple of thespians going to pay me a visit. Two of the cast members of the Eastmont High School production of Les Miserables. They'll be in this show, in this studio on Monday. On Tuesday, Pete Van Well will be dropping by for the Wenatchee Rotary Club. They have a huge benefit auction coming up, I believe, on January 26th. It'll be good to have Pete. So Pete from the Wenatchee Rotary will be visiting me on Tuesday. Wednesday, Darcy Christofferson will make her annual visit. She comes by on a regular basis, the administrator of the Washington State Apple Blossom Festival. We'll talk about that. That's Wednesday with Darcy. On Thursday, our friends from the North Central Educational Services District makes their monthly visit as well. And then on Friday, it'll be our friends from the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center, one of my favorite places to visit in the Wenatchee Valley. Everybody go out and have a great weekend. All right, take care, be safe. We'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.